and have Ryan Brisson come up to the stage. Ryan is going to be going over mapping mastery, evaluation of a radiation oncology competency-based curriculum's alignment with current ACGME milestones. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you for the introduction. Can you guys hear me all right? All right. So I get the privilege today of presenting two abstracts on behalf of my collaborators, one of whom is Dr. Golden, focused on EPA. So there's going to be some similarities between both presentations in this session, but one is a work in progress, and this is the completed abstract. So to get started, currently there's no formalized national curriculum that exists in the field of radiation oncology in the U.S. This has created many challenges when educating new trainees without clearly defined benchmarks that equate to competency, as well as variability in education between programs around the country. These concerns have been published on in the literature. Several ARROW studies have identified that on behalf of trainees, this is a concern and a desire to have a comprehensive radiation oncology curriculum. Other countries and organizations, ESTRO, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, have successfully implemented some form of national curriculum in radiation oncology, many encompassing this general movement in modern medical education towards a competency-based medical education framework. This transition, generally speaking, in medical education to competency-based training attempts to improve on our medical education system, which has seen little change over the last century, to really benefit trainees, to benefit educators, and ultimately to produce graduates that are better able to serve the larger healthcare community. So to kind of describe what a competency-based framework is through the eyes of something called a competency by design framework, which is primarily pioneered by the Canadians, the Royal College. Do I have a pointer? I guess I can just walk you through it. So in the top left, each specialty is broken down into 4 distinct stages of training. Within each stage, there are a list of what are called entrustable professional activities representing actionable, observable, and measurable units of work during clinical care. The next bubble in the top middle, the residents observed completing each of these EPAs, allowing for coaching, feedback in real time. The bottom middle, the observers record those EPAs being completed, ideally in real time, so that shows like a little tablet so that the feedback is immediately available to the learner. At a regular interval, a competency committee would review the documented observations, providing recommendations on the individual learner's progression in training. And then once all the EPAs at a given stage are successfully completed, that person would move to the next of the 4 stages and would then go through the process of completing the next competencies. And so the benefits of this type of approach is clear learning expectations for trainees, opportunities for feedback in real time. Residents have more control of their learning, increases confidence in care, and it kind of fosters a feedback process and lifelong learning that's been shown to be beneficial. So currently, the ACGME publishes core competencies and sub-competencies for each medical subspecialty. The radiation oncology milestones are on their second version and are meant to be used in semi-annual reviews of resident performance and subsequently reported to the ACGME. You can see on the left in dark red are the core competencies and then the sub-competencies under those. And on the right, an example of one of the milestones, which is arranged into a level between 1 being synonymous with novice and 5 being synonymous with expertise, with 4 being kind of a target of competence. They make sure to clarify that that's not like a graduation requirement, but a target of competency. And in 2020, ROECSG recruited representatives from key radiation oncology stakeholder organizations in the U.S. With the goals of developing a competency-based curriculum to address the need in the United States for radiation oncology. This approach utilized what's called a Delphi method to establish consensus, establishing different content domains and EPAs relevant to our practice. The results of this effort were published in the Red Journal in 2022 and resulted in 52 radiation oncology specific EPAs that cover all aspects of radiation oncology at present, and as well as skills that were thought to be relevant to future practice. So the ACGME radiation oncology milestones represent the current standard framework used for evaluation of residents in the United States during semi-annual reviews. The goal of this analysis was to assess the alignment between the most updated ACGME radiation oncology milestones and the proposed field-specific EPAs. And our hypothesis was that there would be substantial alignment between the two. So to go through our methods, 4 individuals participated in this, 3 attendings at academic training centers and 1 resident. Each of those people independently and in a blinded fashion reviewed the EPAs as well as the radiation oncology milestones on the ACGME website. And they were instructed to basically take each EPA and map to which radiation oncology milestone that fulfilled. And with the expectation that there could be multiple radiation oncology milestones fulfilled by an EPA, they were also instructed to identify a primary radiation oncology milestone for each EPA. And so what that looked like was taking each of the EPAs, saying which of the milestones met or fulfilled that, and then identifying a primary milestone. And then all of those independent and blinded reviews were aggregated and assessed for agreement across the independent investigators. And so when looking at our results, when assessing the alignment from the EPAs to the milestones, we found that each EPA mapped to at least 1 ACGME milestone, with most EPAs aligning with multiple of the milestones. As you can see, there was a median of 6 milestones ranging from 1 to 13. Despite some heterogeneity, obviously, when the individual people were assessing all potential relevant radiation oncology milestones, there was some heterogeneity. There was strong agreement between the participants on the primary ACGME milestone fulfilled by each EPA, with 96% of the EPAs having unanimous, independent, blinded agreement on the identified primary milestone. And you can see on the right, I put some examples of the EPAs and then what primary ACGME milestone was identified. When we look at how the radiation oncology milestones relate with the EPAs, the milestones were mapped to a median of 2 EPAs. When assessing the alignment between the milestones and the EPAs, of the 21 milestones, 19 were found to have at least 1 primary EPA unanimously identified by all participants. Importantly, 2 milestones were not consistently mapped to any of the EPAs. And you can see the 2 on the right there, as well as them spelled out there, both under the professionalism competency, and they were the accountability, conscientiousness, and the self-awareness and help seeking. And so for discussion, this analysis demonstrates that all EPAs can be mapped to at least 1 of the radiation oncology milestones, with most milestones directly mapping to at least 1 EPA, supporting our initial hypothesis. 2 of the milestones were not consistently mapped, so that warrants further investigation into those 2 milestones. I think if after further investigation it's found that the milestones are critical for resident education, then consideration of expansion of the EPAs or reframing of the EPAs so that those are included would be important. Alternatively, if on review those milestones were found to not be necessary, removal from future versions of the ACGME milestones may be warranted. And these findings support that the proposed competence-based curriculum encompasses the knowledge and skills outlined in the ACGME radiation oncology milestones. And I'm happy to take any questions now or in the future.